Yo dudes, what's up? This is PlanetKeef, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to cook with vinegar. I'm not really. But what I'm going to do is a little experiment, making wood stain with vinegar and steel wool, wire wool, which apparently people have been doing for centuries, but I only found out about it 2 days ago. I mean, honestly. So this is great news because wood stain costs a lot of money and this stuff doesn't. Well, okay, that was about £10 worth of vinegar, but you know, we like vinegar on our chips and in our salad dressings and other things, so it'll get used. Anyway, I'm wintering. Let's get on with it. Come on. So I'm not going to predict, or I'm not going to tell you what shade you might get from each different type of vinegar, because it depends also on the kind of wood that you apply it to. So I'm going to make up, I've got 6 different vinegars. I've got red wine, white wine, cider, malt, balsamic, and ordinary plain white vinegar, distilled vinegar. So they do all give different shades apparently. So we'll find out what they are. So we'll make up a little batch of each and test it on different kinds of wood and see what happens. So I'm going to use this little 1/3 cup to measure my vinegar portions, and I've cut the steel wool. You need fine or ultra fine steel wool for this, and that's probably about, you know, half of a third, a sixth of a cup ish. Pop a bit of that in each jar and then add the vinegar. I've got them arranged by kind of light to dark, and yeah, so ooh, that smells like vinegar. So pop that in there. And I've got my lids all mixed up. Just put the lid on to stop dust getting in, but you don't screw it on because it will produce a bit of gas and that needs to be allowed to escape. Next, white wine. I'll just wipe out the cup so we don't get too much cross-contamination. And the last one, the lovely balsamic. This better turn out great because I love this stuff, and it would be a waste if it didn't work marvellously. Anyway, we'll find out. So what I said before about leaving the lids loose is wasn't entirely accurate. Screw it on tightly, give it a good shake, then unscrew it, leave it loose. And I'm going to leave these for 2 days and then finish them off and do the colour test. And basically what's going to happen is that the steel or wire wool is going to rust, and that will cause some kind of chemical reaction with the vinegar. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Anyway, there we go. See you in 2 days. Okay, 2 days later and my stains should be ready. Fingers crossed. So I prepared, well, five different types of substrate, because not all of it is really timber, just to see what effects the different stains give us. So I've got oak, softwood, ordinary plywood, MDF, and a different kind of plywood, which is what my bench top is made of, because I do want to stain this at some point. And that's not for any artistic reason, it's just because when I'm doing videos of you know, working with brown wood on a brown work surface, it looks, you know, there's not enough contrast, you can't really see what's going on. That's the only reason. And also the MDF, if it works on MDF, I'm going to stain this board where my tools hang, because yeah, I'm going to paint that wall as well, but not with stain. Right, waffling, let's get on. I've got a bowl and a bit of well, kitchen paper, and what I need to do is fish out the wire wool. Ooh, that smells like vinegar, and there's a bit of sediment in there. If I was doing this, you know, as a large batch, I would filter that out, but you know, it'll be okay for this demonstration. Right, here we go. A little paintbrush, and just paint away. I think you want to be quite generous with your coating. And unlike regular commercial stain, this it won't look like the finished article as soon as you apply it, because we have to wait a little bit for a chemical reaction to take place, which is that the vinegar and rust in it react with the tannin in the wood. So timbers that have a high tannin content, like oak, will take the stain better, I think. But we'll see. Okay, yeah, so you see that oak is already, it's going quite a dark grey. Softwood, almost imperceptible, and these haven't had enough time. So now I'll just rinse the brush and do the next one. Right, these are pretty wet, so they're going to take an hour or two to dry, but already you can see what's likely to happen is that oak mostly goes at black or grey, except for with the balsamic, which is almost like paint, and that makes it go quite a nice brown. Softwood just goes there. Again, well, with all of them, the balsamic has a distinct effect because, you know, it is very thick and has its own colour. Yeah, plywood, nothing. MDF, nothing much. This plywood for my worktop, well, a little bit. I'll give that another coat and see what happens. Right, I'll leave those till they're dry and then I'll come back. Well, a couple of hours later, they're all pretty much dry, and we've got some very interesting results, especially the oak. I can't believe this. The white wines come out bluish, as has the cider, the red wine, and the malt vinegar. The distilled vinegar is a nice grey. That's like a sort of, well, a bit weathered. The balsamic vinegar, a couple of coats with that, and you would have a really good solid black. So that's good. The softwood is just so naff, I'm not even gonna, that's going in the bin. And then the plywood and the MDF, these look like the colour palette of a painter of drab English watercolour landscapes. And I mean, you know, they're quite subtle. Some of these I could use, and these as well. In fact, the MDF for the wall panel, I think I'll use one of these, cider or red wine or malt vinegar. And then this one, the plywood for my bench top, again, white wine, cider, red wine and malt are all greyish. Distilled vinegar is a bit darker. These have bled into each other somewhat. And the balsamic is brown, nice reddish brown actually. So again, I'll use one of these greys for the workbench top. Right, there we are. Now you're an expert on how to make wood stain for nearly nothing, and hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. If you're not a subscriber to PlanetKeef, please become one. You can go over to Keef Cooks or look at links below if you want to give me money. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.